Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Other Girls Club podcast. I'm joined by a fabulous guest today. Please welcome Fats Timbo.
Hi, how are we doing?
We're all very good, thank you. Happy that you're here.
Happy to see you, happy to be here. You know, I love podcasts and I'm very happy to be a part of your podcast because it feels like therapy.
Oh, well,
me.
That is, as a psych student, as a psych graduate, actually, may I add, that's like the biggest compliment ever. Fats Timbo is an award-winning curator, comedian and author. Fats was born with dwarfism and shares her experience as a little person with a comedic spin to her 3 million followers. I've got her in the studio today to talk about dwarfism, why representation is so important, and life as a creator with a huge audience. Once again, welcome, Fats.
I absolutely love that intro, by the way.
I love giving the guests an intro that like bigs them up, because then when they start talking, they're like, yeah, I am that
Yes,
bitch.
I am that girl. You know, I am funny. you know?
Exactly,
I
and
used
you
to
are.
deny it, but now I've embraced how funny I am. So, yeah.
I already know what the answer to this is, but I want to know, what have you been reading lately?
So I've been reading Tina Knowles' new book.
I love how I already know it, and I'm like, what have you been reading?
Her book is called Matriarch, and I absolutely love it. It's so good. She's a fellow Cancer queen like me. She raised three beautiful stars. Kelly, you know, her adoptive her adopted daughter, Solange, and Beyonce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's incredible to hear a mother's story and her story as well, before becoming Beyonce's mum, basically. And I think it's really important to hear about somebody from back in the day as well, during segregation, all the things that she used to go through. She's got a massive family, so you hear all about her siblings, her nieces and nephews, because her older sister had like 8 kids, so she grew up around them. She's the youngest, and being Beyonce's mum and discovering her talent and pushing her. So it's really cool and very enlightening, very inspiring as well. And I'm 3/4 into it, so I can't wait to finish. And also, can't wait to see her tomorrow.
I know, we're both going.
We're going to see her.
Yeah, I'm different. I've not read the book because I'll be honest, I'm in a bit of like a reading slump and I've not got around to it, but I think this will give me the motivation to just pick it up and get through it.
It most definitely will. And for me, I'm very dyslexic, so reading is even an achievement, to be honest. So what I do, I download the audio from Audible, and then I read along with the book.
Oh, I've done that a few times before as
and
well.
And it really, really helps to stay on track, because when I'm reading it in my head, I'm jumping, I'm misinterpreting. So Audible definitely helps me. And her voice as well. She's got a beautiful voice.
I love that. I think if the author actually does the book, if it's like a memoir, that makes it so much more intriguing to me.
It really does, because it's literally from her mouth.
From their mouth, yeah.
Very cool.
But I'm so excited to read this book. I think because as well, I think people don't, if you're like a casual fan of Beyonce or you don't really know much about her, you wouldn't know how much of an input she had in Beyonce's like early career, but also now as well. But like, well, the way she did all of the costumes on most of the tours.
Yeah.
You know, the way she collabed with, was it the I Am tour where they collabed with Mugler to make all those costumes, like just Tina Knowles' impact and the way she protected those girls through like rising fame, and when they were in Destiny's Child, like I'm in such awe of her. And I actually saw this really interesting clip with Tina talking about how when Beyonce started to get a load of attention just in Houston for like being a young singer, she made her and Solange go to therapy together because
because so she talks about that
in the book, because Solange started to resent Beyonce, and Beyonce started to be like, oh, my little sister's here, kind of thing. And Mama Tina was like, no, if I'm not going to have you guys be pulled apart by this, you're going to go to therapy and you're going to learn how to respect each other and love each other while living like different lives or whatever, and having your own like talents and whatever. And I just think that is, especially for the time where people wouldn't have really been talking about mental health.
Exactly.
You know, just what a woman, what like foresight she
was
had.
So ahead of her time.
Yeah.
So ahead of her time, because what it was, she had a hard childhood, being the youngest out of, I think it was about 4 or 5 children, and always being compared to and almost being forgotten as well at the same time. So the therapy she needed, she felt like she needed to give that to her children and talk through those issues. So the story's incredible. The way I want to talk deeper about the therapy,
you'll have to come back and we'll do a whole episode about Mama Tina.
Yeah, we should.
Can we get Mama Tina on as well?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
I'll scream her tomorrow.
We should ask
Tina,
her.
come on my body. I need to stop talking about Beyonce because I won't stop. And we need to talk about you. Because that's what we are here to talk about.
That's what. Yeah, I forgot.
Not every episode is about Beyonce, goddammit. We're here to talk about you today. So, talking about you, obviously, we know you as this hilarious creator. Your comedy, also your beauty content as well, is incredible. And I just love seeing your presence on social media. It's always light and joyful. But I think what would be really interesting, I think, even for me and for like maybe our viewers who don't know a lot about you before you were a creator and growing up with dwarfism and even just getting started, all of that sort of stuff. I think if you could take us back to the roots of who Fats is.
The roots
before
of Fats.
You were a creator.
So the best way I could tell you the roots of me is that my parents moved from Sierra Leone. They were trying to come here for a better life. This is before they met. And when they came to this country, they both worked in a hotel. They worked in a hotel as chambermaids, and that's where they met. My dad was looking for somebody to help him cook his home cooked meals, cassava leaves, stew, all these home cooked foods that you wouldn't get like in a restaurant or something. And my mum, she's an amazing cook. She's like top tier. And she was like, yeah, I can make it for you. She said to me, in her mind, she was like, I'm looking for a place to stay. If I could get this man through his stomach, I will, because I fancy him as well. So, they kind of, got along from there. And in my dad's eyes, she came over and she never left, kind of thing. So from there, they just built such a beautiful relationship, and they're still together till this day. And I came along. They really, they were trying for a child. And, when they found out they were pregnant, they were so happy, because they really wanted me. And then 6 months into the pregnancy, as they were doing the scans, the doctors realised that my head was bigger than average. And that's usually an indicator of Down syndrome or dwarfism. So they asked my parents, do you want to have an abortion? Because, do you want to bring a child into this world that has a disability? And my parents said to me that, to be honest, it didn't matter what you had, what you looked like. We wanted you, and we already fell in love with you already. So it didn't matter to us. Yeah. And I thought that was so beautiful. I was like, stop, guys.
I'm like, gonna make me cry now.
Like, you guys are so cute. Like, so I came out with dwarfism, and they had no idea. There's no manual. Yeah. There's people were saying really bad stuff about me, about them, because they gave birth to a child that has dwarfism, which is so unheard of. It happens in 1 in 30,000 births. And my actual dwarfism is called achondroplasia. 75% of people with dwarfism have achondroplasia, and it mostly happens to average height people. People think that my parents are little like me when they're not. So it can happen to anyone, and I think for them, they just had to love me, the best way they could, and they had to just instill that confidence that I have today. But when I was younger, it was hard, because it was like, why is everyone tall? Why is my younger brother taller than me? Yeah. I don't understand. So I had a lot of confusion growing up. When went to the hospital, my parents never really made it a big deal. They just said, oh, this is hospital time. So I thought it was my special time with my parents, and like this was my special attention that I'd get. But looking back, they really wanted to make it, they didn't want to make it a big deal or like or a sad thing or scary thing. I actually found it fun, you know. So I'd go to the hospital for ear appointments because I'd go deaf in one ear. I'd get frequent ear infections because I've got lots of fluid in my brain. I forgot what the condition is called, along with dwarfism. But yeah, like I'd have to be more fitter than the average person because the way my bones are, it gets quite stiff than the average person. And also, what else is there? What else is there?
I mean, I feel like you have just said so much.
Have I?
Yeah,
Oh.
you really have.
Yeah,
honestly, I'm here like, I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, yes, this. But
yeah, so there's things that come with dwarfism, and what annoys me the most is when people say to me, oh, you don't have a disability, you're just short. Well, if I was in a world where it was average height and I could reach everything, then I wouldn't be disabled.
The good old, the social model of disability.
Yes,
we love
exactly.
it. Yep.
So, but because the world isn't, I am classed as disabled. So I feel like I'm constantly arguing with people about it.
It's so frustrating. People say it to me, and I am literally the textbook disability. Like, they put me on the symbol, you know? Like, I'm on the symbol, and people still say to me, oh, you're not really disabled. It's like, no, but I am. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
You know?
There's no harm in it.
Yeah, it's just a term that helps descript what I need to move through the world. Because if I, you know, because loads of people always love to say to me, like, oh, you should call yourself differently abled. Like, that's not helpful, and it's condescending. Like, personally to me, maybe some disabled people like to use it. I find it condescending. I'm like, we have a word, just use it, you know? Because if I was trying to book access on a train and I was just to call up going, oh yeah, I'm different and I need help, it's just, it's wasting everyone's time.
It is,
you know?
It's just be straight to the point. Like, you've accepted the word. Let's say most people with the disability know that they have a disability and don't mind calling themselves disabled. Why is that other people feel uncomfortable with the word? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think we just need to get comfy. First of all, we need to get more comfy with disability.
Oh yeah.
And in turn, we'll just get more comfy with the word along with it as well.
Exactly that.
But speaking about being comfy with disability, obviously you were saying about growing up with dwarfism, and your parents seem honestly truly amazing. I'm thinking especially for the 90s as well. Obviously, I don't know, maybe you have different opinions on whether you think perceptions have got better or worse or they've stayed the same, but I can imagine in the 90s it was a completely different landscape of even not thinking about disability, and it's not perfect now, but it probably was even a lot worse. And I'm thinking about growing up in the noughties, your parents seem to have instilled a lot of love and confidence in you, which is amazing. But even with that, how was it navigating things like school and navigating the world in general? And you're saying your younger brother was taller than you. How was that in that sort of time?
I think it was probably one of the toughest times in my life. In terms of like school, I hated when people asked me questions that I didn't have answers to. You know, I absolutely hated it because I didn't have the answers myself. Like, why are you so small? I don't know. I've just got here. Just got here, love.
It's my third day out here. I don't know.
Like, I don't know. You know, why is my head so big? Or why this? Why that? Like, just condescending things and trying to navigate those negative emotions. Like, are they being nice to me? Like, sometimes I'd have to overcompensate because I'd want friends, you know. So I'd give people my lunch, or, you know, like people that were taking advantage of me all the time because of my niceness. I'd get that and then, you know, come home crying because, you know, I know people aren't treating me nice. I know that, you know, I'm getting name called all the time. At one point, there was this boy that was severely bullying me, cyberbullying me in class. He was sitting behind me, always calling me names, always calling me ugly, always calling me the M word, midget. And, you know, it ruined my self-esteem. And when I got the evidence of his cyberbullying, I gave it to the teachers and he got excluded. You know, fast forward to how many years later, he said I'm beautiful. you know, and I said, you didn't think that of me.
So, like, I mean, first of all, that's awful. And that's to experience that now would be horrible, but to experience that as a child as well, when you're
so relentless.
Because you're so, what is the word, moldable at that time. Like, your opinions of the world and yourself are so, they're formative years, you know? And like, it's such a horrible thing to experience. I mean, I was like bullied in school as well, and I was able-bodied in school. So I know school was hard, even without a disability. I know what children can be like, especially young boys. They're awful. But they always seem to come back around,
don't they?
When you're doing good for yourself.
They do.
Or when you're doing well. You'll never believe a message I got a few years ago, and this was before I even really like blew up creator-wise, and it was from someone who used to, they didn't really bully me, but they would just, you know, make my life harder at school. It wasn't really one of the bullies, but it was like a bully adjacent. And he had the cheek to send me this message, and it was like, oh, you've like really blossomed, haven't you?
Go away.
I was like, excuse me, what? S'il vous plaît? Like, back the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But obviously going through that at school, it's really, really hard. And obviously at that age as well, it's just, as we said, it's such a moldable time for your brain and feel like your self-esteem. Moving on from that and then sort of developing with age, how was it? Did you really feel like that time at school really impacted your confidence growing up as well?
Absolutely. I think at that time I was probably the most depressed, the most suicidal, if I'm being honest, the most low in my life. All I wanted was love. You know, that was the time when I'm seeing all my girlfriends getting into relationships, and for me it was like I was just getting fetishized. And at first I thought it was, you know, whatever attention it is, good attention. That's how I thought. Then after a while, I just thought, yeah, this isn't it, to be honest, because, you know, people would get into long-term relationships and I would just get left behind. And I think for me, the way it impacted my self-esteem, I had really low self-esteem. So I just overcompensate by trying to be a people pleaser, you know, getting taken advantage of, and, you know, it wasn't the best time in my life. So I was kind of desperately looking for an outlet. So at the time, during primary school, I had therapy, and secondary school, university, I had therapy all throughout that time. So I had an outlet to help me, but at the same time, I didn't know how to get out of the depression. I didn't even realize I was depressed, but I was, you know. So I was desperately trying to be that confident person I've always wanted to be. When I'd be home, that's when I was confident. That's when I felt loved.
You're with your family because you know they have that love for you because they've shown it. Yeah,
exactly that. So, but when I'd go outside, every time somebody would look at me and look at me funny, I'd just get upset, but I'd have to hold it in because it was so frequent. Like, I can't get upset every single time. I'll be a flood of tears. There'll be a river behind me. Do you know what I mean?
And honestly, like, I'm so glad you said that, because I try to explain this to able-bodied people all the time. Like, sometimes, do you know what? I was just telling her the other day, a woman tried to kick me in the face the other day on the street. Genuinely, like, and I haven't spoken about it at all, like, on socials, because when it happened, genuinely, I was walking the street in London, and this woman, like, she did it in a way to be like, get back, I'm coming through. She looked me up and down in the chair and she tried to kick me in the face, and it happened so quickly that I literally didn't know what to do. I didn't even stop. I didn't say anything. I just carried on. And it wasn't until I got on the tube, like, and I knew I was like away and I was safe, I was like, oh, that was really bad.
Yeah, you process it
and
after it.
You process it after. And there's so many things like that where I'm like, there's so many things like happen. People are like, oh, why don't you complain? Or the thing people say, why don't you sue? You should sue them. Or why don't I have the money to keep suing people? If I had to sue someone every time I experience an ableism, like, I'd live in the court. I might as well get a room, forward my post to the court. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and also we just don't do that in the UK. We're not like America, but, like, you know, you've really got to pick your battles and learn what you really want to rally against.
Exactly. And sometimes you're in a good mood, so nothing can hold you down. Like, nothing can, you know, but sometimes I can be in an angry mood, so I'll cuss everyone in sight if that looks at me funny. Sometimes I'm in a sad mood, so I'm like, put my headphones in, I don't even look at people's faces, I'm just going where I need to go. It can be exhausting, like the lady kicking, like, nearly kicking you in the face, horrible. And that's what's annoying is it's not going to be the last time somebody does something annoying.
Yeah.
So as disabled people, we have to just always keep pushing and be resilient. We're like the most resilient people in the world because we're constantly being faced with battles.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenges is people in society. If it wasn't, if they were more accommodating or people were actually nice, I think life would be a bit easier and less hard.
Well, there's two models of disability, isn't there? There used to be the one that they used to use was the more biological model of disability, which still rings true because, you know, even if the world was completely accessible, I still would be disabled in my body. But the thing that actually disables me, I think, in life is the world and you know, the way we navigate it. If the world was completely accessible, we wouldn't think about our disabilities really.
Exactly.
We would only think about them in a health capacity. We wouldn't think about them in a lifestyle capacity.
Yeah, exactly that. I explain this to people all the time, and I'm glad Alan gets it because he's got cerebral palsy, but other people wouldn't understand it. Alan, my fiance, by the way.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
When is the wedding?
It's in 2 months, 3 months.
No way, so
yeah,
close.
I know. So it feels so sudden. But yeah.
I can't wait to see your dress.
Thank you. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Yeah, but I think that's what we need to keep talking about, keep raising awareness about, that it's them. It's not an us issue.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about raising awareness and people's perceptions, do you feel like things have changed at all in terms of people's perceptions? Because I became disabled in 2017, which in the grand scheme of things is very recent. I mean, it feels like an age ago for me, but like, you know, I wasn't born with disability. I didn't live through the noughties and the 2010s so with a disability. So do you think that in that time period of just your life, do you feel like people's perceptions have changed or are at least starting to change?
I think it definitely has because of social media. There's more education about it. There's more, like, we are being seen more.
Yeah.
So people are more accepting of us. And the rise of, like, disabled social media content creators, they're more accepting of us. So I think compared to what it was back in the day where it was so relentless, like people staring, people laughing, people doing, they're still doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that they're not doing that, but it's not as bad as it used to be. So I'm glad that there's like role models to help other disabled people navigate through their disability, especially as a child, as a teenager, because I didn't have any of that whatsoever. I didn't even want to go to any conventions when I was younger because I had that I didn't realize it, but I had self-hate where
like internalized ableism.
Internalized ableism, where I was like, I'd say to myself, I'm not disabled. Oh, I'm not this. I'm not in denial, you know, because I never saw anyone that looked like me.
Yeah.
But when I did, like, let's say, for example, when I saw Mary Russell on The Undateables, I was screaming at the TV. I was like, oh my God, you know, so that's when I maybe started to accept myself a little bit more. And it was important to have that because, like, I didn't realize I hated myself, you know, and that's what depressed me, I guess.
Internalized ableism is such a beast because it crops up in ways where sometimes you live with it inside of you, and it crops up in ways where sometimes you don't even realize it a lot of the time. Like sometimes, like things that where if I had another disabled friend who said it to me, I would be like, come on, that's silly, you know, that's ableism that you've internalized, blah, blah, blah. But then sometimes I'll have own doubts about myself. Like sometimes where, say, like if something's inaccessible and I feel like a burden to my friends, or, you know, maybe like I've been through like a bad breakup or a bad dating experience, and I'll be like, oh, it's because I'm disabled. And there's like other people out there who are, in quotations, easier to deal with or easier to date. And it makes me feel kind of unlovable, you know, in some capacity. And I have to remind myself like, oh, that'll be ableism. That's internalized ableism. And it's so different when like you're holding a mirror up to yourself, because I would never ever say or think those things about someone else, but like when it's myself, it's like I feel so strongly because I'm such in that. Sometimes you can get such in that pit of those feelings.
Absolutely, because you're living your experience, and you can get defensive about certain things that, like, for example, when I was in Liverpool, this guy was dancing with me, and I thought, okay, yeah, whatever. And the next thing you know, he crouches down, he's proper like trying to be aggressive with me dancing, and, you know, I push him away. And then one of my friends was like, oh, he's just having fun with you. And I'm like, I've had people try to pick me up.
Yeah.
I've had people throwing things at me. So of course I'm going to be
Defensive, yeah.
You know, like, why move?
Yeah, I feel like every time I meet someone new, all that is going through my head is, please don't ask me why I'm in a chair. Please don't ask me why I'm in a chair. And then inevitably the question always comes most of the time, I say 90% of the time. And it's just like, oh, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that, because then I either have to make the situation uncomfortable by saying I don't want to talk about that, or that's an inappropriate question, which shouldn't make it uncomfortable, but it does, or I have to then spill my trauma. And it's like, people don't think about it in the sense of, like, if I was to ask Ella, my sister who's sitting in the corner right now, if I went, oh hi, lovely to meet you, tell me about the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to you, it's the same question. And I think people don't have that innate, sometimes people don't have that innate empathy to recognize that is like, disability is so connected to trauma sometimes. Yeah. Or sometimes it's just like, you could have just asked me how my day was, you know?
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's such a burning question for them, because they're not used to being around disabled people, but it doesn't give them the right to ask you, you know. I feel like when you feel safe with them, then maybe you can open up like any other person. But why do you have to immediately give them an answer for that?
Yeah,
you know.
And people always see it as like, oh, but you know, I'm just trying to learn, well, me telling you that I became paralyzed in the gym does nothing to progress disability rights. It does nothing to raise awareness. All it does is satisfy your curiosity for my personal experience. Like, and I always say to people, there are so many other questions you can ask that are more beneficial to the disability rights movement, like, you know, how do you find public transport? Or, you know, like, so many other questions about maybe like the chair and the way it works, or like, would you want assistance in this situation? There's so many other questions you can ask, which would actually, I think, broaden people's understanding of disability. That isn't just why you're in a chair, or what, you know, why is your head bigger, that people used to ask you questions like that, because it's like, I really feel for you as a kid, just going like, I don't know the answers to these questions.
My parents didn't sit down and talk to me about it. Like,
it's just who I am, you know.
Exactly.
Like, but I think, I'm hoping things are starting to change with representation.
Yes,
so we have, you know, we've been chatting from the rooftops, and you said it a bit earlier about how representation is so important, and good representation is so important, because I've seen bad representation happen.
Oh yeah.
And bad representation that I always think about, and I even still feel the consequences of, is Lou and Andy in Little Britain, because sometimes if my post ends up on, like, say, the wrong side of TikTok, like it often does sometimes, it's the way algorithms are, and you have to brace yourself for that as a creator, but we'll get onto that in a bit. I will get people just comment, be like, Andy Pipkin, and it's like, that is a show.
Really?
Yeah, just Andy Pipkin call. And it's like, that's a show from 20 years ago, and it is still impacting the way disabled people are seen today. Because it's like this lazy faking it kind of stereotype, and it's like that show, which came out 20 years ago, is still having that impact. And it's insane. Like, that's why representation is so important. Not good representation is important, yes, but it's important not to get it wrong.
Exactly.
Because when you do, it has really big consequences.
Absolutely. And similar to your experience, the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Oompa Loompas. That made up character, I'm like,
because then that's all people think of when they think of dwarves and little people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not a mythical creature. I am real. I am absolutely real.
Mm-hmm. I can confirm she is real.
Like, it's so annoying when people refer me to that. Like, I'm like, first of all, I'm not orange. Second of all, I don't live in a factory. Stop putting memes or whatever under my...
Also, you don't sing on cue.
I don't sing on cue. Maybe to Beyonce I will, but not...
To Mama Tina tomorrow, we'll both be singing on cue.
Exactly.
Whenever she wants.
It's just... Yeah, so that's why it's so... Like you said, it's so important, because when you get it wrong, you're creating a whole negative stereotype to a whole generation. Yeah. And it's so annoying. Like, even Snow White... Oh my God, it's so annoying. They missed the mark there. That's why it's the worst remake ever, because they just missed the mark in so many different places.
I've actually not seen it. So what is it?
I haven't seen it myself, but I don't want to. Yeah. Well, I could see it just to... I don't know what the hate is about, because there's lots of hate. Yeah. Because I've talked so much about, even before they actually really made it, it was Peter Dinklage talked about, like, there shouldn't really be dwarves in it. But I said, corresponding to what he was saying, I don't mind if there's little people in there, but I think it would be a good educational thing if they had actual names, actual stories. You know, if they delve deeper a little bit into it, instead of making them just caricatures to Snow White.
If they were wrote as people and not just caricatures. Yeah.
Exactly that. So when they just called it Snow White, but they still had little people in there, it was just like, okay, I guess you're trying to hit a grey area when it's not hitting.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, it doesn't make sense. And then you made the dwarves CGI.
Yeah, and then also as well, as a disabled person, as a disabled actor, it's so hard to get jobs.
Exactly.
So then that would be a prime opportunity to employ 7 disabled actors, 7 actors with dwarfism.
Missed the mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
interesting, because I've not seen it, but I guess with what Peter Dinklage is saying, it's interesting, isn't it, that you could have 2 people with the same or very similar disabilities and have completely different opinions.
Yeah.
You know, because disability isn't a monolith, and we do have different opinions on things. But I think the problem is there are so little disabled people whose voices get heard by people in positions of power, by the mainstream. So, and it's the same with representation, because there is so little disability representation. When you get it wrong, it's really noticeable. Whereas if we just had more of it, and let's say half it was good, half it was bad, the damage wouldn't be as much, because you would have more to look at. You would have more of a well-rounded picture.
Exactly.
You know, so I mean, representation, but also the employment and just the general visibility of disabled people, because it's one thing to have disabled people in front of the camera and be representative, because obviously that's kind of what we do, that's our side of things, but also, and we did a shoot together, didn't we, a few years ago,
Makeup Revolution.
And do you know what I always say to people, that was the first ever shoot that I've done where I've not been the only visibly disabled person on set.
That's so good.
And that was crazy, because that was years into my career, and it took years again.
That's wild as well.
Yeah, for it to happen again, where I wasn't the only visibly disabled person on set. And I remember coming away from that day being like really happy, because I was like, oh, it was really nice to know that I wasn't the only one in the room, because I was like Fats here as well, and like I don't know, I just felt more. And I've had so many like shoots where I've been the only disabled person, and people have been lovely, but you do notice.
Yeah, you do notice, and when there is more than one of us, it feels like, okay, we're not being a token.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah.
Because tokenism is such a big thing in this community, but in this industry, I should say, because, you know, they're like, oh, we got a disabled person, tick. You know, we got one black person, tick. You know, that's not how representation should be. We should actually reflect society. 1 in 5 people are disabled or have a disability. So why are we not reflecting that still in media? Yeah. That's what I keep talking about. That's what I keep telling, you know, the industry, because it's so important to have that, so that people know that we are here, and we're in many different shapes and sizes, and there's so many different disabilities that people could learn about. Even me, you know, and I want to see it.
But where is it?
I'm looking.
Where is it? But also as well, when it is represented, it's normally represented in a certain way.
Yes.
Like, I know, like for me, whenever just representation is quite poor, but then when it is represented, it's normally very white as well. I'm sure you've probably noticed this. I know that's a conversation that happens a lot within the disabled community. Like, disability is so white, or at least the representation is. It's also very straight as well. And I know, like from my experience, just from the queer side of things, is sometimes I'll get like campaigns for Pride and queer campaigns, but they don't really want to touch on the disability stuff. Or I'll get prides which are like disability focused, and they don't want to touch on the queer stuff. And I'm like, but those two identities intersect.
Yeah.
And
they don't want to touch on your intersectionality. They're like, no, you've got to be one or the other to us.
And it's like, that's not how it works. Because I've always known myself to be queer, but I became disabled, and now those two identities intersect. And the way I interact with both communities is different to everyone else in the community because of those two identities. Like, I was at Mighty Hoopla at the weekend, which cracking time, by the way. Recommend it to everyone. But it's like, yeah, it's really, it's like one of the biggest LGBT like festivals. It's really, really fun. But the way I navigate that space is different because of my disability, and the way I navigate Pride is different because of my disability. And it's like, you can't ignore disability in queer spaces.
Yeah.
You know, that's how queerness that's how disability ends up getting excluded from queerness. But I don't know if you've experienced the same in terms of like from a race perspective as well, with disability representation being so white. Do you feel that when you're navigating like disability spaces?
I find that I feel like I have to educate myself. Like I would have to educate other people in the disability space to not make it so white, and teach them that there's other races that are disabled. Hello, you know, kind of thing. Because I'm so used to it, and I don't even like. The best way I can explain it is that because I'm already excluded because of my disability, when it comes to being black as well, it's like being another layer kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm almost having to try and push myself even more in a space that wouldn't. I have to make my own space, basically. You've navigated it. I don't think I've actually know how to navigate it, like my intersectionality, because of disability and being black as well. Because for me, it's like, I don't know any other way of doing things.
Yeah.
I just know that I need to make my own space. If people don't understand me being black, then I educate them in me being black. Most of the time people don't understand that I'm disabled as well, so I educate them on that. So I'm like just trying to
Double energy,
just double energy, you know.
That's
you know,
exhausting.
it is exhausting, but it's my life. I've accepted that, and I think the confident person that I've turned into knows that that's what I have to do to be accepted. I have to just make my own lane.
Yeah, and I feel like you really have done, and you've done it incredibly well. Like, I mean, what you've been able to achieve, even from when I met you back in, when did we do that shot? 2021, that shoot was.
Oh
And
my God, that was years ago.
yeah, I mean, it was like 4 years ago now, and we've both like gone on to do like, I think like in kind of different ways. Like we're in the disability space, but you do comedy, I do more like fashion, lifestyle, fitness as well. Like we do different things, but you know, I see you doing your own thing, and you really have just carved out your own space. And
Thank you.
You are just absolutely killing it. Like I love
So
seeing
you as
pop
well.
up. Thank you very much.
Amazing work.
I will always breathe a sigh of relief when I'm at an event and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know anyone here, and I see your face pop up. I'm like, oh thank God.
Same. Honestly, I love seeing your face. I'm like, my God,
I'm like, oh, she's here. Thank God. It can be really daunting sometimes when I'm at an event, especially because sometimes I don't always think. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I need a +1 for accessibility reasons.
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll just go after work, and I don't think about inviting someone. And then I'm there like, oh, I should have asked to bring someone because I don't know anyone. But I'm always relieved to see you there. But thinking about carving out your own space, I'm thinking about your comedy presence, because you are very, very funny online.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, we have a comedian queen in the house. And
I tried my best, you know. I knew I was funny as soon as I came out the womb, and you know, I just made my parents laugh.
well,
I just came out and they were laughing. I don't know how, I don't know why, but here I am.
yeah, that was going to be my first question. I was like, did you always know you were funny? And you're like, yeah, I came out the womb funny.
Yeah, that's what it. I think, do you know what it is? My dad is the real comedian. If you think I'm funny, yeah,
It's always the dads.
that man, he'll walk in the room and just swagger. You'll just laugh. Like, he's just got a funny aura, funny presence, and he turned anything. It could be so dark as well, which is such a bad habit sometimes for him and us. You know, it can be so dark sometimes, but we just make a joke out of everything, and we just love to laugh. You know, it's just. That's just how we are. And I think for me, growing up in that kind of humour, growing up in such a light-hearted house, I'll just bring that wherever I go, and people just think I'm funny. I'm like, I'm not that funny. I'm just
raised this way.
I'm just raised this way kind of thing. Like, you know, we'd be missing flights and just laughing, cackling. you know.
You know what, me and my dad are exactly the same, and it's annoying as well because I know he's funnier than me. Like, that man can tell a story.
Oh my god, yes, they're so good. They're good storytellers, aren't they?
My dad is a storyteller, to one point where I think I had some friends over once, like they all stayed over, and then the next morning my dad did like a stand-up routine in the living room, and he was telling us all stories from when he was like 20 and he worked in like Saver Centre, and this time that like he didn't want to pay for, it was like £5 for the parking ticket, right, to get out in the barrier. He just took the barrier off. I was like, Dad, and do you know what the thing is, right? He's going to kill me when he listens to this, because he's like, why are you telling people this? Do you know what I'm saying? He took the barrier off and he threw it in a bush, and then he got back in the car. It bounced out the bush.
What?
He's going to kill me for saying that, but that is just kind of like the
It's
kind
just
of humour we have in my family as well. Like,
wow.
he's just, that dad's really just, like, dad humour gets a bad rep.
But I think dad humour is hilarious,
They are,
especially when
just
they're
so funny.
actually funny.
Yeah.
The worst, do you know what it is? They get a bad rep because they'll say the joke and it's not funny, and then you have to laugh because they're your dad, and you're like,
Yep.
But when your dad is genuinely funny,
Yep.
it's like,
Oh, it's like,
listen,
I
I've
can't even be
actually
mad.
got a funny dad. Like,
Yeah.
he's actually funny.
I won.
You know?
So you learned a lot of your comedy and just
From him, yeah.
from your dad, and I'm guessing they were probably very supportive of, you know, what you
Absolutely.
do and the space that you navigate.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Because what happened was, lockdown happened. Before that, I was thinking about, oh, should I show my funny side? Because I was doing modelling and I was doing dancing online, but I wanted people to see my personality, like how just of a joke I can be. So I just thought, you know what, it's lockdown. People are probably sad at home. Let me make them laugh, kind of thing. That was literally my mentality. And TikTok started emerging, and people started doing their funny stuff on there, and I thought to myself, I could be funnier than this. So I started like using inspo from like different trends and, you know, different things of my life and reenacting it on TikTok. And at first it wasn't like, I wasn't looking for social media fame or TikTok fame, because back then it wasn't called TikTok famous, whatever. I just wanted a platform that I could just show my funny side.
yeah.
Oh my God, it just started blowing up out of nowhere. I woke up one night, my phone was super hot, and I was thinking, why is my bed on fire? And then next thing you know, I'm seeing thousands and thousands of notifications, and overnight I was getting like, I don't know, thousands of followers, and in one day I gained about 150k. And
That's
I thought,
crazy.
no, what's me? You thought I'm actually funny. I discovered then I'm actually funny. So I'm going to keep, I thought, you know what? I've got an audience now. Mm-hmm. Eyes are on me, clearly. So let me just keep pumping out some funny stuff. And, you know, funny things kept happening, and I was using it as inspo, and loads of trends were coming out, and I was putting my own spin on things. So I just kept going with it because I had the time, I had the energy, I thought, you know what, I've got the charisma, let me do it. So, it just turned into something crazy on Instagram, and as well because I'd repost on there. And it took my social media to a whole nother level. So from then, I thought, you know what, like my management, they thought it would be really cool if I started stand up. And I thought, oh my God, you're having a laugh, aren't you? Like, not literally, but seriously. But I thought to myself, okay, let me just channel my inner manifestation. You know, I got to get to the other side of fear to get through this. And, you know, it was definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever had to do in my life, doing stand-up. But it was the most exhilarating, most fun. When people would laugh at the jokes, it was so amazing.
Yeah.
And it took my confidence to a whole nother level, because it made me fearless in the way that I communicate with people. So it made me feel like, okay, if I've got a joke in my head, hope not too dark, obviously, but say it. You know, if people don't laugh, they don't laugh. I've been on the stage and, you know, no one was laughing, and it was very awkward. But I thought, you know what? I've lived. I'm here. I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Here we are. You know, so I got over those kind of scary things, because I thought, oh, like if nobody was to laugh at my joke, I'd die. And I did. But I was resurrected on stage, and I kind of kept a blank face and moved on to the next joke, and they laughed at that.
You just deal with it, don't you?
Yeah,
you
just
go,
deal with
okay,
it.
that one wasn't a hitter, but the next one might be. And,
Exactly.
You know, you don't just leave the stage. Unless you're asked to, but you don't just leave the stage after a bad joke for that to happen. You just stay on there and you work through it, and you hope the next one lands as well.
Exactly that, and not like every comedian has gone through that. When I spoke to every single comedian, they've gone through that, and I thought,
even
I'm
James
not
Acaster, who is, by the way, my favourite comedian. I adore James Acaster. He's just my absolute favourite. And I remember watching an interview of him once where he was, even in some of his like popular stand-up show, his reference to like times he has bombed on stage, and you just can't imagine it, because I'm like, but I laugh at everything you say. I laugh at your mannerisms. I love his work. So, but it's really interesting to think about even people that you really admire and you see as like experts in their crafts. They're like, oh yeah, I bombed before, and I'm still here. I went away, I learned from it, I looked at why it didn't work, and I came back, and that's why I'm funny now.
Exactly.
You know, I didn't
it's failure.
Exactly. That's
Learning
failure.
from failure. So yeah, it's that's the best way to learn from failure.
Yeah.
Is stand up. My God.
Oh God, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine how scary it is, but also how good it feels when they laugh. Because I'm telling you, if I get a good reaction in the group chat, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm funny. If I was on stage and people actually laughed along with me, I'd be like, oh God, complex.
It's a good feeling. It really is.
Yeah.
And I've learned when they don't laugh, it's them listening. You know, sometimes you think that part is funny, but when you get to the part that's funny, it's like, okay, yeah, I need to navigate the story and how it's told. It's just like, I try not to take things personal. There, I really learned how to not take things personal. I really learned that. Yeah, it was really, honestly, it's the best thing ever. I do want to do it more. It's just, it's a lot of energy, especially as a content creator, and then you're doing stand-up, and then, but I will get back into it.
You've got to write the shows as well.
Yeah, you've got to write the shows. And I'm hosting it as well. Yeah. Because I'm hosting other people as well. So, yeah, to do all of that, like my first time, I was so proud of myself. I went back on the stage when I was saying bye to everyone. I just started crying like a little girl. I was like, guys, it was my first one. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Like, just like, I look back at it and I'm
that
like,
relief.
Yeah.
And that pride as well that you must have felt in yourself.
It was amazing.
Well, next time you do one, let me know, because I would definitely love to come and watch you. If you would have me there, if you want me there.
Listen, darling, I will have you there.
I will be there. I was also just thinking as well how nice it is that your blow up, your come up on social media was for comedy. And obviously as well, people know you for being disabled and talking about disability as well. But because I think because when I came up on social media, I came up mainly through Instagram, and it was more from like a recovery process, because I literally just had my injury and I was posting about it. And I think it took me a long time to set boundaries in place to when I do and don't want to talk about disability. Right. And it took me, I think, maybe a few years to be seen for something other than just my disability, because I was like, oh yeah, but it took me a long while to just be like, oh yeah, but I'm also into fashion and, music and film and all of these things. And there still are some people who are just like, oh, I just like your disability content. I see you as like an education source. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. No hard feelings. But it took me a while to get across that, I'm not just a disabled person. I have so many interests, and yes, disability does interact with those interests and navigate them sometimes, but there's so much more to me as well. And I think it's so nice that you obviously blew up because you were just fucking funny. People just loved you and they love seeing you, they love watching you. But thinking about obviously the blow up that you had on TikTok and the amazing things you've done since, you have done so many incredible things, the book.
Thank you. Main character energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Purchase it soon because it's going to be paperback. But anyway,
you're little plug.
Because this month I'm going to have a paperback version. It came out 2 years ago, and I can't believe it.
Has it been that long?
Yeah,
crazy.
2022.
Oh my God.
2022? No, it wasn't 2020. It was 2023. So it was 2 years ago.
Me. Yeah.
So
well, by the time this comes out, we'll because this is going to be for the later season, we'll put the link in the description box as well.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
super exciting. I've always wanted to write a book before I wrote my book, and I thought to myself when me and my management were talking about it, I just thought, this is a dream. This is what I've always wanted, because it's hard for people to get to know you as a person on social media, when they see like pictures or clips about you, they don't know how you grew up, don't know why you have your condition, don't know why you're funny. Like, I think I wanted people to know the real me.
Yeah.
And if they like really wanted to know, there's a book available kind of thing. That's why I wrote it. And, you know, it's amazing because it teaches people how to be fearless in life, because I had to teach myself in a way to navigate the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult, it's hard, but I think when you have the tools to learn how to do it and be the confident self, or get to the other side of fear, you know, you are unstoppable.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's literally the mantra of the book.
Yeah,
So.
and it's so nice because obviously you have learnt it through experience,
Right.
And some of those experiences being quite awful as well, especially as a kid. But I think I always think as a disabled person, and you probably think the same, is I'm hoping that I'm going through these experiences and learning these things, and hopefully then educating and passing tools off so that other disabled people won't have to grow up like that,
Yeah.
or they won't have to experience those things. And I think it's so lovely that, you know, you've been able to take all those things that you've learned and not only live in such an authentic way. I know we overuse the word authentic now, but you do live very authentically and very fearlessly, like a main character, but also want to teach other people that as well, and kind of like almost unlock that for other people, because it really is such a life-changing.
It's so important to share knowledge, to share experiences, because I think it's really important to leave a legacy. I think it's, if I don't have children one day or whatever, at least I know I've made such a big impact on this world, because, you know, the book is there forever, you know, hopefully it better be forever. Like, the book is there forever for people to read and read my experiences and learn from it, and learn from how to be a more kinder person, even if they are a non-disabled person and just want to learn. You know, I just think it's so important to educate, because people still don't know. When I go on shows and, like, for example, this morning or whatever it is, like, the presenter's always like, no way that still happens. I'm like, yes,
it does.
Yeah, and it's not just that incident, it's every day. I might go outside right now and get laughed at on the street, but, you know, I've got places to be. Like,
exactly,
you know, I can't keep harping on it. I can't keep every single time go on my story and say, oh, this happened to me today, because it will be a long story every single day. You know, so it's educating people and literally telling them that our experiences, it's not easy at all. And if it changes one person's perspective to not treat a disabled person differently or horribly, or even maybe ask them, oh, so you're visiting our facility today, do you need access? What kind of access do you need? Or if it's a builder, they can think twice and think, okay, how would a disabled person be able to enter the building or enter the house or something? Because that's all it takes, is a thought, and changing how people think, you know.
Absolutely, and changing people's perceptions is so important.
So important.
And I feel like you are having a really big hand in that. There are so many amazing disabled creators out there who are really using social media for good, and I think you are definitely, absolutely one of them. Final question I have for you is, how are you chasing joy this week?
I'm chasing joy this week by following my dreams, pursuing my dreams, actually, I should say, because I think it's really important every day to wake up to think, what am I going to do today to achieve my dreams? If it's posting something, it could be as simple as posting a post. It could be just going to the gym. It could be, I don't know, eating right. I'm just trying to do little habits to get to my goals.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think sometimes when we think about our goals and our dreams, they feel so big and out of reach. I really think you have to break it down. Be like, okay, where do I want to be in a year? Okay, to get there in a year, where do I want to be in 6 months? Okay, well, if I want to be there in 6 months, what can I do today that is going to push me one tiny little step forward towards that bit, and then do it again and again and again.
Exactly.
And I think that is so important. So I'm glad to hear that you are chasing your dreams.
Thank you.
Because I hope they're very, very big.
I'm trying. What about you, actually?
Why am I chasing joy? God. You know what? I'm seeing Beyonce.
Yes!
That is the joy of my entire year, my life. Yeah. I'll say Mama Tina tomorrow.
So exciting.
But then the day after is Beyonce. It's my first Beyonce show.
Oh my God.
I'm seeing her 3 times this year.
Amazing.
As I should.
As you should, man.
know?
That's your friend.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, babes,
That's my mother.
you know, as you're leaving, you'll be like, I'll see you next week.
No, literally. I'll be like, there, bye-bye. But no, yeah, Beyonce is really how I'm chasing joy. I've got like a ton of concerts this month, but nothing beats Beyonce, you know?
Nothing.
She's the ultimate, our one.
She really is.
We do a whole other episode where we come back and talk about the book as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a book meeting. Do you know what I mean?
Book club.
Yeah, book club. That's what they call it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Fats. I've generally really, really loved this conversation. I hope you have as well.
I have.
And I hope
you
you
so
guys,
much.
Hey, thank you for coming. And thank you guys for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.